Breaking news has shattered Washington tonight. President Donald Trump has allegedly crossed a line that no modern American leader has dared approach. In a private but widely leaked exchange, Trump reportedly threatened Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett with deportation if she didn't shut her mouth. The phrase, captured by multiple sources inside the White House, has already set off one of the most volatile scandals of his second presidency. According to insiders, the confrontation began during a heated policy discussion. Crockett had been one of Trump's most vocal critics in recent weeks, hammering him on immigration policies, union crackdowns, and what she called a presidency of intimidation. Witnesses claim the president, visibly enraged, snapped back with words that left the room stunned. If she doesn't shut her mouth, maybe she doesn't belong here at all. We can send her back to Africa. The remark, as reported by staffers, was not delivered with humor or ambiguity. He meant it, one aide told reporters on condition of anonymity. It wasn't a slip, it wasn't sarcasm. It was a threat. Everyone froze. Within minutes of the leak, journalists scrambled to confirm the account. By late afternoon, the alleged quote was splashed across every major outlet. Trump to Crockett, "Shut your mouth or be deported." The backlash was immediate. Analysts on cable news debated whether this marked the most authoritarian rhetoric yet from the Trump White House. Commentators compared it to the darkest chapters of American history, warning that such language, directed at a sitting member of Congress, risked eroding the very foundation of democracy. Social media exploded with hashtags like #ShutYourMouthGate, #CrockettStrong, and #DeportationThreat trending worldwide. Memes depicted Trump slamming a gavel with Crockett staring him down, while TikTok creators mocked the president with reenactments of the alleged exchange. What stunned Washington most was not simply the threat itself, but the brazenness of it. A president elected to lead the entire nation had reportedly singled out a congresswoman with a threat of exile. For millions of Americans watching the scandal unfold, one chilling question echoed. If the president could say this to Jasmine Crockett, who might be next? By sunrise the next day, Trump's alleged threat to Jasmine Crockett had ignited the fiercest media firestorm of his presidency. Every major outlet across the political spectrum led with the story, and the quote, "Shut your mouth or be deported," flashed across television screens, newspapers, and phone alerts. For Americans waking up to the headlines, it was impossible to ignore. The President of the United States was accused of threatening to deport a sitting member of Congress. CNN's morning show opened with a chilling chyron. Authoritarian threat from the White House. MSNBC called it a direct attack on democracy. Their panels dissected every syllable, with constitutional scholars warning that the remark was not just rhetoric, but a dangerous precedent for abuse of power. On Fox News, the reaction was more complicated. Some hosts dismissed the report as political theater or another liberal witch hunt, but even conservative analysts admitted that, if the quote was accurate, the optics were disastrous. Social media poured gasoline on the flames. Twitter, X, erupted with hashtags like #DeportationThreat, #CrockettStrong, and #ShutYourMouthGate, which trended globally within hours. TikTok creators reenacted the scene with viral skits, often portraying Crockett as a fearless heroine standing up to Trump's bullying. Instagram reels filled with protesters holding signs that read, "You can't deport democracy," and "Crockett belongs." Memes mocked Trump's threat by depicting him as a game show host, shouting, "You're deported," while Crockett rolled her eyes in defiance. International media quickly joined the frenzy. The BBC broadcasted segments under the title, "Trump's Threat to Congresswoman Sparks Outrage." In Africa, commentators condemned the remark as a colonial insult, with one Nigerian newspaper asking pointedly, "Does America's president believe Africa is a dumping ground for his critics?" European papers connected the scandal to broader concerns about Trump's nationalist agenda, framing the threat as proof of an authoritarian streak that could destabilize U.S. credibility abroad. Meanwhile, the silence from the White House continued. No denial, no clarification, no apology. The press secretary canceled the daily briefing, fueling speculation that the administration was in chaos behind closed doors. Pundits warned that the longer Trump refused to address the allegation, the more it looked like an admission. By midday, it was clear this was not a passing gaffe or a single headline. It was a political earthquake, and the aftershocks were only just beginning to shake the foundations of Washington. By midday, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett transformed from target into titan. Standing before a sea of microphones on the steps of the Capitol, she delivered a speech that instantly reverberated across the nation. The crowd of reporters pressed in, the air tense with anticipation. Crockett wasted no time. "Let me make this crystal clear," she declared, her voice sharp, unwavering. "I was born here. I was elected here. And I will not be silenced by anyone, not even the President of the United States." The crowd erupted in cheers as her words echoed across the plaza. Crockett continued, channeling both fury and resolve. "When a president threatens to deport a sitting member of Congress for speaking truth, it's not just about me. It's about every American who has ever been told to shut their mouth, every community that has ever been told they don't belong. This is bigger than one insult. This is about defending democracy itself." Cameras zoomed in as Crockett raised her hand, pointing directly toward the White House. "Mr. President, I will not shut my mouth. My voice belongs to the people who elected me, and no threat will change that. You want to silence me? Good luck silencing the millions of Americans who stand with me." The clip went viral within minutes. MSNBC called it the defiant moment of the year. CNN described it as a modern echo of the civil rights era. Even Fox News, normally hostile to Crockett, admitted that her words landed with unexpected power. Social media amplified the moment. Hashtags like #Crockett defies Trump, #voice not silenced, and #we belongs in here soared to the top of global trends. TikTok videos set her speech to triumphant music, while memes framed Crockett as a superhero facing down a dictator. Her allies in Congress quickly rallied behind her. Progressive Democrats praised her courage, while moderates warned that Trump's rhetoric had crossed a line that endangered the very institution of government. Supporters gathered in cities nationwide, holding signs reading, "Crockett belongs," and chanting her words, "I will not shut my mouth." For Jasmine Crockett, what began as a threat of exile had become a platform of empowerment. In standing tall, she had turned Trump's attack into her greatest weapon, transforming herself into the face of defiance against a presidency increasingly defined by intimidation. By the end of the week, the political landscape in Washington looked like it had been hit by an earthquake. What began as a single explosive remark, "Shut your mouth or be deported," had snowballed into the defining crisis of Trump's second presidency. The fallout was everywhere. On the streets, in the halls of Congress, and across the globe. Inside Capitol Hill, Democrats wasted no time in seizing the moment. Hearings were scheduled to investigate what lawmakers described as unprecedented abuse of presidential rhetoric. Progressive members openly called for censure, with some even whispering the word impeachment. Moderate Republicans found themselves in a vice, trying to defend their president while privately admitting the scandal was indefensible. "We can spin tariffs, we can spin immigration," one GOP strategist told Politico, "but we can't spin the president threatening to deport Congress." On the streets, protests swelled into a nationwide movement. Marches in New York, Atlanta, and Los Angeles drew tens of thousands chanting, "Crockett strong, democracy belongs." Banners bearing Crockett's face appeared in shop windows and on murals, elevating her into an icon of resistance. Social media campaigns turned her defiance into a rallying cry, with young voters especially galvanized. Polls showed a dramatic surge in her national profile, while Trump's approval among independents collapsed to record lows. Internationally, the backlash was relentless. African leaders denounced the threat as a colonial echo unworthy of a modern democracy. The European Union issued a formal rebuke, warning that the U.S. was eroding its moral credibility. At the United Nations, ambassadors debated a resolution condemning the rhetoric, an embarrassing spectacle for a nation that once claimed to be the guardian of democratic values. Late-night comedians lampooned Trump nightly, portraying him as a tyrant barking orders while Crockett stood unshaken. Editorial cartoons painted the White House as a fortress of fear, with the First Lady looking on in silence as her husband lashed out. Even conservative voices began urging Trump to apologize, though few believed he would. By Sunday, one truth had crystallized. Jasmine Crockett was no longer just a Congresswoman. She had become the symbol of defiance, the woman who stared down the president's threat and emerged stronger. And for Donald Trump, the words he allegedly uttered in anger had triggered a storm that no spin team, no rally, and no denial could contain. The fallout was not just political, it was historic.